Your intuition is simultaneously completely correct and completely wrong, and it's wrong in two particular ways. You're often wrong in terms of the amount of time it will take for that intuition to develop, and you're often wrong in terms of the form or the clothing of the intuition as a literal thing in the literal world, not the emotional or spiritual essence of an idea, a concept, a feeling, a pre-verbal or post-verbal sense of something that's definitely true, but the literal form. I'm going to explain that idea in this video, the two ideas of time and form being an intermediate issue if you are trying to build your intuition in a conscious and genuinely sustainable way. The form idea, which I refer to as the clothing of an intuition, can have two major lanes, the pre-verbal and the post-verbal. Pre-verbal is below the level of the intellect. This is what many would call the instinct. This is a feeling in your guts, a somatic intuition, some people would say. Usually this comes up when you're in a situation where there's danger, you're in a dark, unknown area of a new city, and you just feel that you shouldn't be there. You go into a car park, you go into a shop, and things feel wrong, and you know, pre-verbally, I shouldn't be here. The timeline is immediate, the form isn't known, but the immediacy is confirmed and the feeling is tangible. But the form, that's unknown. Why isn't it right? You don't know the nature of the characters around you, you don't know the exact threat that's coming your way, you don't know many factors around why the intuition is correct, but you trust it because we've learned to trust that. That's a pre-verbal intuition. A post-verbal intuition, that can be something that again tilts towards the negative in terms of maybe I'm being betrayed by someone, maybe I'm being cheated by someone, maybe I'm being set up for some kind of scam. That post-verbal intuition of the level above intellect is often the realm of spiritual intuitions, but it can be the realm of safety as well. A gut-based intuition, I feel danger in my body, is different from the above the mind level intuition, which is I get a sense from something outside myself, almost as if I've been given some kind of instruction from an otherworldly figure. This is what many people would say is divine inspiration, or even synchronistic events. Synchronistic events generally register on the plane of post-rational rather than pre-rational, pre-verbal, post-verbal. Pre-trans fallacy, transcendent or pre the thing. There's a distinction there. It's not the same thing. You haven't just got rational and non-rational. The non-rational has pre-rational and post-rational. That's maybe an idea for another video, but let's get back on track with this idea about intuition, especially the right idea at the wrong time. You can have the right idea with the wrong form. You can also have the right idea with the wrong time. Many people, when they're getting an intuition towards something positive, they will get a genuine vision and a sense of emotional correspondence to that vision, meaning normally a positive feeling because they have a positive idea of a career move, a relationship move, a good feeling about something going their way. And this can happen in a dream, a daydream, or maybe even an active journaling exercise or a great conversation. An inspired conversation can sometimes give you an intuitive breakthrough where you see something beautiful and you say, yes, I will be that kind of person. You know what? I just had a flash of insight. I've got a really strong feeling that this is going to work out for me. But the problem is the timeline. And again, you also have the problem of the form. Both of these come together. The timeline is often very, very confused for most people, however, and I can say this with confidence after 5 years of full-time therapeutic coaching. I have worked with dozens of people at this stage who consistently, at the beginning of a mentorship, will get a vision, an intuitive vision of the kind of man that they want to become within the 4 months of us working together, and very, very often they will signal the kind of thing that can happen within month 1, and they will also signal the kind of thing that could happen 2 years after the mentorship. They simultaneously have some aspects of the vision which happen earlier than expected, but they also have aspects of the vision that will happen much later than expected. And they don't realize that it will take that amount of time, but what they do realize is that this is a true and reliable intuitive insight. They just get excited about the time. Most of us are impatient, and also it's very difficult to structure multi-level self-integration based change across a linear timeline of this many months, this many years. It will take this long based on a predictable weekly routine. It's quite difficult for everyone to structure emotional energy and intuitive insight across a literal calendar year. So just watch out for this. If you are getting strong intuitions that you're going to become this kind of incredible golden shadow, high aspirational, self-actualizational being, you might be right, you might be completely correct, but also it may take you 5 times, 10 times, 20 times as long, or conversely, it might happen much sooner than expected. A side note, a lot of the law of attraction, positive visualization work actually leans too strongly towards you can have this more instantaneously than actually tends to be the case. The see it and you will believe it, and when you believe it and you see it, you will become it instantaneously kind of thinking is often a premature, underdeveloped intuition. You're correct that you are very capable of great things, but your timeline is often off. And if we remember the start of the video, the form or the clothing can also be incorrect. I'll repeat this for the sake of you remembering this one idea for the rest of your life, hopefully. Your intuition is often perfectly correct, but the time and the form are always worth double and triple checking. Am I correct on how long this is probably going to take? Often you can't know for certain, and to deal with the ambiguity, to be basically okay with not knowing if it's going to be 1 month, 5 months, or 10 years, that's step one, genuinely. If it's a big life change, especially if it's a big project, like a certain type of creative project or a business project, or maybe a certain level of spiritual consciousness, you have a sense that you want to become a certain meditative, enlightened figure, you might be correct that you could get into those deep nirvana-like states, but again, maybe a few more years of practice than your intuition would say in that very peak experience within a particularly profound meditative moment. You can have it, but the time is often wrong. The second point, again, ask yourself, your intuition is completely correct, but also completely wrong on the nature of the form, the clothing, or the literal wrapping of materiality around the core, emotion-laden essence of the intuitive vision. Whether that's more pre-verbal or post-verbal, whether that's leaning more towards instinctual, whether that's got more of an intellectual base, it doesn't matter. The form is often wrong. I'll give a relatable example because maybe some people are kind of, I've led things to astray in maybe more of an abstract and theoretical sense, so a few grounded examples to really wrap this together. One thing that's quite true in terms of people getting a sense of a new romantic relationship, for example, they get an intuition that there's someone waiting for them out there, or at the very least, they're going to go find someone. They're going to actively get into the dating market and find the right partner at the right level based on the man or woman that they've become. They're a single person looking for a conscious relationship. They've got the intuition inside that the time is now. And let's assume, for the sake of this example, they are correct. They woke up one day, they had a dream about meeting Mr. Right or Mrs. Right, and they just got a sense that I'm going to meet the person. This is where we get into the more synchronistic, hard to rationally explain, but you get a really strong dream, and you'd say to your best friend, I don't know, I got this dream of, it wasn't even meeting a person, but there was an atmosphere in the dream where I felt really safe and loved and inspired in this relationship, and it felt right, and it felt like it was happening soon. I really feel strongly that this is happening soon. And maybe you're going on a trip, maybe you're going to meet an old friend, maybe you're going to be at a social event that you normally wouldn't be at. You've got this sense of immediacy building that you're going to meet someone. That could be completely true. But where you need to check yourself is that the form, in this case, the form of the literal person, can often be wrong. And if you get your hopes up based on a true but still incomplete intuitive vision of the kind of new dating situation that you're going to enter into, you might accidentally over-project all of that wishful thinking onto the wrong form, in this case, the wrong person, in the right time. She was standing over there, but you projected it onto this one. He was actually on the other side of town late that day, but because you were so eager, you projected it to this side of town, at this man, at this time of day, and you missed the opportunity altogether. You were too quick to jump in. You were too quick to try and materialize the intuition. You were right on the time, but you got tripped upon the form. And then it leads to often quite disappointing feelings of, it didn't happen. And one of the fun things about intuition, this is again one of the kind of cliche things that comes up in the transpersonal psychology literature, is that good intuitions, which work out, they were the correct time and the correct form. These crazy stories that you hear on podcasts or YouTube videos, I had this intuition that if I didn't catch that plane, something incredible would happen to me. And then, turns out, based on their story, they didn't catch the plane and something very dramatic happened. Of either like they got a great opportunity, they avoided a great tragedy, whatever it might be. They had a correct intuition that then paid off in material reality because they had the right time and the right form. The right time, don't get on that plane today. The right form, the plane being the form, the travel being the form, and then some other thing. That's just one example off the top of my head. What we don't hear with these kinds of stories, whether it's avoiding a tragedy or a great opportunity, is the sheer quantity of times that intuition is shot way out into the woods and does not hit the target. There's a classic quote that intuition is either right on the mark or it shoots off a mile into the forest. And when we shoot off a mile into the forest again, a 50-50 chance. Doesn't mean that you were wrong, but you didn't land it on the form. We forget all of the missed shots. So many missed shots on intuition have been lost in the trees, and we only remember the ones where they go straight onto the bullseye. And one of the fallacies of being a human being with both instinct and intellect and intuition is that we have a bit of a bias towards remembering the times where it worked out in our favor, and of course, that's a very normal human thing to do. But if you find yourself repeatedly getting these intuitive highs, and either the form is correct or the time is correct, but neither of the two together, just see if this idea, as applied in your life, again, I know I can't give all the concrete examples of the exact intuitions that you might have, but that's the difficulty of making a video like this on YouTube. I'm trying to give you a framework for genuinely refining your intuitive skill set to be able to get a more accurate and more tangible calibration towards the likely materialization of a very true, very powerful intuitive hit. Doesn't matter where it comes from. It could be from reading a book or having a conversation with a friend. Just check the time, and if you check the time and bring it back into more of a realistic timeline, and if you check the form and have a bit more patience about not wrapping the intuition onto a material, objective, clothed situation too quickly, you will be in a much, much better position as a grounded, intuitive being. Practically, to wrap up the video, tends to mean that you'll be more centered and more patient. You will be able to get an intuition in a powerful dream. Let's go with that as a final example. Powerful dream intuition. Certain symbols appeared, a certain feeling when you woke up. You'll be able to capture it in your journal or in the notes section on your phone or a voice note or a conversation with a friend. And you'll be able to say things like this. It feels immediate. It feels like it's meant to happen right now. Then again, I don't know this for sure. And if I'm being honest, I've been here before. I've had similar dreams, and I had this same sense several times that it was going to happen right away, but it's not happening right away, that there's something true here. I know this is the right direction, but I don't know the time. I'm certain on the form, but I don't know the time. Or vice versa, you could have another dream, another vision, a conversation with a friend. I can't tell what this is about, you're saying to your friend. I can't tell which country I'm meant to be moving to. I know there's a big move coming up. I just can't see, but I know that it needs to happen before the end of the year. I've got a real sense. I keep seeing December. I keep seeing me being in a place and checking my phone. It's December 27th and I'm not in my home anymore. It's happened. And maybe you're saying this now, like in the summer. At the time of recording in the summer, you get this real feeling based on the calendar. It's happening at this time, but you don't know the form. That's good. Live in the uncertainty for a little bit longer, and that will give the space for more intuitive insights to populate the gaps. You will strangle and suffocate your intuition if you take a single powerful insight and you try and tear it apart into the world of time and the world of form, rather than just letting it sit over here as a time-based intuition, and then giving the space over the weeks for the form to arrive. Almost as if one seed has grown slightly earlier than the other, and you just need to wait for a bit more rain and a bit more sunshine for the next intuitive seed to grow, and then when you step back, it suddenly makes sense. This will help. Share your stories down in the comments section, and if you want another video on transpersonal psychology to develop your intuitive skills, check out this recent video over here. Good luck. Grow your seeds. Or wait for the seeds to be planted and they will grow on their own, because that's the nature of the soul. Video over here.